Welcome everyone to my first video on this channel. I have long wanted to make a video on how you can get started with modding video games, and it seemed like a good basis that I could start a whole YouTube channel on, because I know that many of us have always had the idea that you want to change something in your favorite video game, such as, I guess, give Gyarados its right typing, which is Water Dragon type. But then you don't know where to start, and you don't know how to start. And it seems like a very difficult task, and that's why many of us don't ever get started when we have such grand ideas for video games. And so what you're seeing being played in the background is Pokemon Emerald with some change that I have made to it, so that you have custom starters, and Gyarados has a custom type, and you're fighting a level 50 Salamence on your first battle. And today, you will get to learn how to do some of this as well. I want to show you that none of this is as hard as you might think it is. I'm going to go ahead and teach you some basic skills that will apply to many types of video games that you may want to start modding. This tutorial, though, will assume that you know some of the basics to programming. You don't need to know all the ins and outs of programming, but some idea of flow and reading code is expected to understand what is happening. If you don't have these skills, I will not discourage you from trying to learn, because that is how everyone learns a new skill. You have to start from nothing, and what's a better way to start than doing something that you're actually interested in? So the video game today that we will be using is going to be Pokemon Emerald. Many of us have played this game and probably have a few things that we would like to change in the game, such as Gyarados' type. Even though the video will focus on Pokemon, these concepts will apply for a lot of code bases and other games that you may want to mod in the future. Now, for some setup though, I do recommend using Linux, WSL, or macOS for this tutorial, and probably most of your projects that you're dealing with decompiled software. This is because most of these decompilations are made with Linux and Unix in mind, and so it's a lot easier to install the dependencies and the tools that you will need for, well, modifying the code. And so let's do the first thing. Let's actually just get the repository. So I will cd out of this directory, and what you would normally do is just git clone and let it clone into a new folder. However, I already have this cloned and built for the first time so that we don't have to wait on it to build the entire way again. Now, I will not be going over the installation and the entire setup that you need and all of the dependencies, but you can follow them right here on this page. It's pretty straightforward. It's just cloning and then more cloning and building the code. Okay, so once everything is cloned, just open it up in VS Code. Okay, so everything is opened up in VS Code. This is great. And so we don't need this anymore. We do need this. And we don't need the terminal anymore. Okay. So there's a ton of files in here that you won't know what any of these do, and it's very daunting since you don't know where to start. And a lot of times with these decompilations, there's no documentation either to tell you where to start. There might be basic installation notes, just like what I had just shown off. But other than that, you're really off on your own. So how to start? This is how you can easily start. I suggest loading up the ROM, and let's just go to Pokemon Emerald, and here's my ROM that I had just built. And so I just recommend going through something that's very simple to change, and something that you can really easily see the change. And so let's look in the option menu and see we have this text speed that says slow, mid, fast. This is really good because strings have to be located in the code. And so one technique that I like to do is we can just go here and search for mid. And if we change this to case, we should lower the results here. And we don't need any of these files. One thing that you should note is that Pokemon is written in C and Pori script, I believe. And so you can filter the files down to get a shorter list. All right, so I see one thing. This thing says, oh, this is it looks like this is defining the scroll speed. So if you want to edit that, you can do that right here, apparently. Let's scroll down a little bit. So might take a little bit to find exactly what it is. All right, so looks like I have found the right file and I found the right line. So if we go here and change this to medium, right? This is something very simple that you can change. We can go on the command line and we can make. This, of course, will take some time depending on your system, and we will just jump ahead to when it's completed. All right, now that it has finished building, we can actually just go ahead and reload the ROM. And so if we go to recent and this one. All right, so this emulator, by the way, I don't think I've mentioned it, is MGBA, which you could tell. All right, so if we go into the menu, go to option, there it is. We have actually changed our first line of code. It's not anything big, it's just changing a string, but this is good because now we know at least one thing. We know that our changes are actually being built and we are actually, in fact, changing something in the source code. All right, so let's do something a little bit more interesting though. So I guess we need to play the game a little bit. So I'll be right back after I progress a little bit through the game. All right, so now that we're a little bit further into the game, well, we're not really that far in the game. We all know this annoying little girl right here. Let's just walk up to her and get her to prompt her thing. Okay, she does her annoying thing of trying to block us from going down the path. Now, we don't really want to meet May because that's more work and we just want to go directly to save Professor Birch. We can do something about this. So the first thing is, remember how I said strings are very useful? Let's search for this string. So if we look for oh, well, we have to move that. We find this first one. Now, if you notice, this has all of her dialogue. So if we go through her dialogue like this, it says, if you go outside, you go in tall grass. See? So it's all there. So what we can do is, notice this function right here. Let's copy this. Let's see what is calling this function. Okay, so if we click on this one, okay. We see that there is this Littleroot event script twin. Okay, so it says, it checks if our flag event has started. And it does that. And it also checks if we have rescued Professor Birch. Okay. How I know this is I'm just guessing based off of what the variables are named. I don't actually know. Let's see. Pokemon will jump out. Okay, let's check the other one. Oh, okay. So this is even more descriptive. So if we look at this, it says Littleroot Town event script dangerous without Pokemon. I think this is what we want. So yeah, it says push player from route. So if we just do that, push player from route. So I think this is what we want. So if we click on this one, we still have not gotten to what is calling this. So if we copy this and search for this, oh, we get a little closer. So see, this one says call. And so this one's calling it, and this one is moving the twin, it looks like. And so we still don't know what the original thing is. So let's click on that again. Oh, and look, this time we find a map.json. And it has a script in here for this. Actually, there's two of them. Oh, yeah, for one for this tile and one for this tile. And so if you notice, look at the coordinates. The coordinates say y1. So again, so most video games start 0 here, 0, 0 here, and then increment x would be incremented like this on the horizontal, and y would be vertical downward. So it would be 0 and then 1 here, then 2 here, for example. Okay, so let's say we just want to move her away. So let's just put her at 0, 0. So this should be somewhere over here. So it should just be out of our way. So let's just make both of these 0. So, okay, all right, so they're both 0. Now let's do another make, and hopefully this one isn't that long. All right, so this has finished compiling. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would. I guess when you change this JSON file, it rebuilds a lot of things. All right, so anyway, let's reload our ROM and see if what we did worked. So let's just speed this up. All right, so here's the moment of truth. Ah, we walked right past her. All right, and then we're in this event now. And let's speed that up. All right, so we're in the Birch event now. And so let's just save right here. All right, so if you noticed, we changed where the coordinates are. So if we somehow walked to these coordinates, I think it's actually in the trees. So we can't actually walk to it without walk through walls cheat. It would trigger. We could just change. We could have changed the script as well so that she wouldn't do what she did, and that would have worked as well. But let's go ahead and look at the starters. So these stars are your usual stars for Gen 3, and everyone knows them. So let's go ahead and change these guys. So again, with the string. Notice what this says. This is Professor Birch is in trouble. So if we just look for Professor.Birch. Oh, and we need to change this back. Okay. Professor Birch is in trouble. Okay, so here's the string. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to grab this variable name here. And then we need to go ahead and just search for this. So I see something interesting. We have a file called starter_choose, and this one uses that text file. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. All right, and so this is where the guesswork will actually have to come in. There are many functions in here, and this one's just drawing text, so it's just drawing the text down here, it looks like. So if we go to this function looks interesting, so let's just click on this. All right. I don't know what most of these do, because I haven't read through any of it, but looking at just interesting things, we see a get starter Pokemon. So if we click on that, we get here. Oh, and by the way, I'm clicking on the functions and getting brought to them by holding down Control and clicking on the variable. Okay, so if we click on, oh, it looks like we have something else interesting. So we have an array. So this might be it. All right, so this looks like what we want. We have species_Trico, which I believe should be our left, yes. And then Torchic, which is the middle, and Mudkip, which is the last one. All right, so we have this, and we need to know what these are called. So let's just click on this, and look at that. We're at, I of course did a control click again. And here's a list of all of the species. This is all the Pokemon in the game. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be classic old school and just go with the 3 Gen 1 starters. And I will just go here and change all of these. And we're going to put Charmander and Squirtle. Yeah. Oh, that was GitHub Copilot. Really fantastic tool whenever you're writing stuff like this. All right, so let's go for another build now, and hopefully we will see our custom Pokemon. All right, everything is built. I had a typo right here. I forgot a comma. All right, so let's go ahead and reload. So hopefully we will see our starters. All right, so if we go here, oh, and look at that. We have Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. Of course, everyone has to go Charmander every single time, so we will go Bulbasaur. And if we go into battle, B works. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward and kind of simple. So let's do something even more. So let's go ahead and actually just change this Zigzagoon as well. So first things first, you need to look for the string again. There wasn't much to work off of for a different string, so we'll have to just follow the code path and see where we could potentially find where the Zigzagoon is created. So let's go ahead and look for the same variable right there, and we'll come back to this function. Remember, we went here last time, but I don't think it will be here because it doesn't look like, it wouldn't make sense to start the battle inside this function. So let's take a guess and we'll just look for this function. Okay, so I see that there's a task right here for this. Okay, so we have that. So it looks like this is simply for, it looks like this is simply for the Pokeballs when they appear. So let's actually look for this one now. All right. So it looks like we have that being called here, and then there's a callback, which is this function down here. Okay. Which then this one looks like it gives us our starter Pokemon. And and looks like we have our first battle right there. Oh, we might be getting close. And here's another thing that says init battle. So let's just, can we click on it? Yes, we can. All right. So then now this is where we're going to guess what this could be. Okay. Looks like it should be this. Yeah, it looks like this one. Let's click on that. And looks like there's a lot. Okay, so this looks like it's setting up the GPU to do things. Okay. Oh, look at that. Set up Battle Vars and Birch Zigzagoon. Okay, so it looks like we found what we wanted. So it looks like we have species here. So let us be the geniuses that we are, and we will do. Oh, let's do something fun. Let's do species underscore Deoxys. Let's make sure this isn't actually a species, which we can just do like that. Looks like, yeah, looks like we have species Deoxys. Okay, so we can just spawn in a level 20 Deoxys. Or, you know what, let's make this fight fair. We'll spawn in a level 10 one. And we just hit make. All right, so it has finished building. So let's go ahead and do the usual dance of just reloading the game. Speed this up. Okay, all right, so let's pick our Pokemon. It looks like a Zigzagoon. I'm going to guess that that is not actually a Zigzagoon. So let's go with the Bulbasaur again. There it is. Let's see if we can beat it. Nope, it appears that we cannot. But the event still passes because you're not expected to lose. All right, so there you have it. We successfully changed a string in the option menu, which wasn't that exciting. We have successfully moved an NPC out of the way of triggering her event. We have also successfully changed our starters. And we have also changed the Zigzagoon fight into something more interesting, which was a fight with Deoxys, which is not really fair. And so I hope that you have learned something today, and that this video was useful for you. I know it wasn't probably the most organized video, but this is my first one, and I'm sure I'll get better over time with doing more and more videos. If you enjoyed it, I hope that you would leave a like and perhaps even subscribe. If you have any ideas on what you would potentially want to see in the future from me, you can drop that in a comment below. Maybe you want me to mod something more, and I could write a tutorial on that. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.